wonderful because Pam Grout is almost as funny as Dawn, just about. So what I'm talking about today is Be Still. I was reading this wonderful book, The Art of Stillness by Pico Iyer, and I learned something really interesting that I'm going to share with you because I didn't know it. Did you know that there's such things as interruption scientists?
No.
Isn't that interesting? I'm going to tell you why it's interesting. Because it's a new study for how all of the confusion and the cacophony of our society is so difficult for us to stay focused. So the interruption scientists say that it takes 25 minutes to recover and refocus from a phone call. And the average American is getting phone calls or interruptions every 11 minutes. So I don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that we're never focused. And so that's what an interruption researcher does. NPR Clive Thompson reported that people stay on an internet screen for about 20 seconds. And as they pop from screen to screen, from one screen to the next screen, only 40% remember what they were looking for in the first place. So 60% of the population that is on the internet totally forgot what they were doing when they sat down at the computer. That's dazzling to me. So it erodes our quality of life because we only remember like half of what we were doing, and the other half of what we're thinking is worrying about what we were doing. And so it nags at us, and we have no real good quality of life. They, much to my relief, they discovered that this is not just an age-related thing. Thank God. I've always been saying that, like I've always been this way. But high school and college kids suffer from the same sense of disquiet and uncertainty and forgetfulness. So it's not just me, my age group, but it's also young people. So in Pico's book about the art of stillness, this one I was telling you about, he went to Google, the corporate office, and he went because he'd written a book about Buddha, but he ran into two people in Google. One was titled the Chief Evangelist, a regular title, and he established a yoga practice that he called Googlers. So in Google, they are sponsoring and following up on yoga practice. Also, there was another software developer who was much more seasoned, and he started a meditation program called Search Inside Yourself, which 1,000 Google employees were trained to go out and teach meditation to other Google employees. And that's a trend that's happening over the country to kind of counterbalance this lack of focus and low level of confusion. Pico discovered that Kevin Kelly, who was the senior editor of Wired magazine, he does not have a cell phone, a computer, or a TV in his home.
I think he's my hero.
He doesn't let his kids watch TV or be on the internet. And he takes month-long trips across South America and Asia, going into villages that have no connection at all, because he says he wants to stay grounded in what a non-virtual culture looks like. That's the guy that edits Wire magazine. So, but you know what? Interruptions aren't limited to electronic issues necessarily. They come with, internet issues. They come with the background noise of TV and radio. And this is my words. We've become a country, a nation that is addicted to interruption. Blaise Pascal, who was the French mathematician, philosopher, said this: all of the unhappiness of mankind arise from one simple fact: they cannot sit quietly in their chambers. So from the 16th century, there was that issue of interruption and confusion. So even the 10th commandment in the Bible spoke to this issue of being still, being quiet. In Exodus 20, verse 8-12. Who knows this by heart? Moses said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all of your work, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord. It is in it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male or your female servant, or your cattle or your sojourner who stays with you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. When Jesus was healing in the temple, the rabbis castigated him and rebuked him, and he said, the Sabbath is made for man, not man made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath is made for man, not the Sabbath made for God. I really messed that up. Here we go again. The Sabbath is made for man, not man made for the Sabbath. Okay. So for 2,000 years, humankind has been reminded to be still, reminded to be quiet. And you know, we teach these skills in this congregation, and yet we forget. We've got all of the interruptions of cell phones and the little vibrator. You know, you can be sitting at dinner with somebody and their vibrator goes off. You can be sitting in your home and that little ting that you got a message. And there seems to be some kind of obligation to check to see what it is. I don't know about you, but mine, if I don't tend to it, in like 10 seconds, it tings again. Ting, ting. Now here's the thing. You're not obligated to answer that. You're not obligated to turn around an email reply in 15 minutes. These are interruptions that come into your home. These are interruptions that come into your life. And reminding you that it takes 25 minutes to recover from that. And you're getting those every 11 minutes. And therefore you are never focused. Now maybe that's not the case for you. I'm talking about the general population of the country. You can turn your phone off. What a concept. But there's some kind of sense that, oh my gosh, if I do that, I'm going to miss something. Something exciting is going to happen. And the truth of the matter is, what is exciting is what is within. The opportunity to be still. So Pico talks about, not only is it about just the internet, but taking opportunities. He's an adventure travel writer, and he travels all over the world. And he's on the go all the time. And he talked about how he was addicted to action and motion. But he was riding on a plane with a Buddhist, and he said to this Buddhist, "Man, isn't this long Atlantic flight just exhausting? It's so tiring. And then there's jet lag." And the Buddha said, "Huh, I didn't notice that. I take this time to just meditate and be silent. It's a gift from the universe." And Pico was dazzled by that whole concept. To be just sitting for 10 hours, to have the luxury of being still and being quiet instead of feeling the need to rush off and be here and be there. It shifted his mind. Now, he keeps an apartment in Japan, and when he enters his apartment, he takes off his watch, he leaves his cell phone when he takes off his shoes to go into his apartment. And it's in the middle of a busy, loud city, and yet it is so still. So he suggests to us that we can take that moment of quiet and meditation when we're standing in the grocery line, when we're stuck in a traffic jam, and instead of resisting and moaning and groaning about, oh, I've got to get there, that doesn't make the traffic go any faster. Taking those quiet moments to be peaceful. He spoke also about meeting a young couple. She was a researcher for Harvard, I believe it was. And she and her partner came to visit him. Her partner was a big, huge Marine guy that talked about having suffered from PTSD and how meditation had changed his life around. How being still had allowed him to heal from the PTSD. Because meditation, as we know, lays down new neurotransmitters, new pathways in our brain. It allows us to be quiet in a way that we never noticed before. You know my Mark Nepo, that I have a spiritual crush on. I love Mark Nepo. He said this: live slow enough, and there is only the beginning of time. Live slow enough, and there is only the beginning of time. follow anything in its act of being. Thank you, Jack, for making my point. And you didn't answer it. You're not obligated to answer.
It was an alarm.
That was perfect.
It is. It could have been mine. I left my purse in there, so I didn't turn mine off, so it could have been mine. So let me read you Mark Nepo again, because I love the opportunity to do that. He said, "Live slow enough, and there is only the beginning of time. Following anything in its act of being, a snowflake falling, ice melting, a loved one waking, and we are ushered into the ongoing moment of the beginning, the quiet instant from which each breath starts. What makes this moment so crucial is that it continuously releases the freshness of living. Key to finding this moment in all of its freshness is just slowing down." So just like the song that we sing here, be still. Be still and listen, because only one voice can be heard. So if we want to listen to Spirit, we must be still, because it's a quiet voice. And Spirit, or God, doesn't yell at us. God speaks quietly to us. And if we are so unfocused, if we're so busy answering the pings, answering the phone, going from screen to screen, forgetting why we went to sit down at the computer in the first place, when we have that nagging sense that at any moment we can be interrupted. At any moment a message will come. Then we miss the message. Be still and listen. I love you all. Namaste. I would invite the practitioner and the minister. Wait just 1 minute. Come on, Missy. We'll get to this in a second. Have all of you seen this? Well, watch out. Yay!
And so Tuesday I'm off to meet the future mother-in-law in Texas. I'll take any and all prayers.
So practitioners, we're going to pray for Aaron. If I have a prejudice, I may have mentioned it, not if. Texas is a challenge to me. I know. Not people, just let's pray. I turn within. And I listen to the stillness. I listen to the water. I listen to the music. I listen to the rustle of our humanness. listen to the breath. And as I am in the stillness, I know that I am listening to the divine. And as I acknowledge that I am it, and it is me, and it is you, all that is, I allow myself to tap into that deep wisdom, that healing peace. And from this place, knowing that my words, my visions, my thoughts are creative. I claim and declare perfection for each one of us. I call forth the great healer. Knowing that anything that I may perceive as out of balance is only my perception. I know beyond a doubt at the deepest level of all creation, at the deepest level of all stillness, that all is well. It cannot be otherwise. I acknowledge peace and harmony and love and acceptance and joy and laughter and healing for everyone present, for everyone who is not with us today, for all of the 7.5 billion people on this earth who are expressing God in such a unique and powerful and amazing way. I claim a moment of peace, a whisper of spirit, a sense of the divine for all humankind. I step out of the way and I allow it to be. I invite you to do that with me. Without judgment, without criticism, without saying, oh yes, but. Just join with me in saying yes. Yes to the quietness of spirit. Yes to the wisdom. Own it with me as I say. And so it is. Amen.